Hello, everyone. This is Andre's Pop Culture Guy. This is the latest Andre's Pop Culture Retrospective slash review. It is on all the Bond films that I reviewed in the live stream and did tribute to on. Of course, I'm gonna do Thunderbolt, GoldenEye, View to a Kill, Spectre, and The World's Done Enough. So this year, or well, last year, it was the big anniversary for Thunderbolt, View to a Kill, and GoldenEye, and Spectre as well. And I'm doing World's Done Enough because I didn't do a respected slash review on that last year when its 25th anniversary was for that movie. So yeah, so Happy New Year, happy last day of 2025, and then happy 2026. We're entering. So let's dig in and I'm gonna do this like chronicle over. I'm gonna start with Thunderbolt, the 1965 film. Happy 40th anniversary for this film, or actually no, this is the 60th anniversary for this film because the 40th is for YouTube. Sorry. So Thunderbolt, 1965 film. Happy 60th anniversary. This is the 1965 spy film, the fourth in the James Bond series, produced by Eaton Productions, and of course it stars Sean Connery. Uh, let's see, and many others. Let me say, for this film's plot follows Bond's mission to find two NATO atomic bombs stolen by Spectre, which holds the whole world ransom to a tune of $1 billion, and under threat by destroying an Pacific metropolis near the Kingdom of the United States. Later maybe in Miami, the church leads Bond to Bahamas in Miami, where he encounters Emilio Largo, number two, Spectre, and is backed by CIA agent Felix Faust and Largo's mistress, Danielle Devereaux. Bond's search culminates in a underwater battle with Largo's henchmen. Okay, so overall, look, it was a tough for the producers of Eon to like really like bring another spectacular Bond film after GoldenEye. GoldenEye, the third of the entry, was amazing. It's definitely top tier Bond film. So what they have here for the fourth film is still fine. I think it's still a good film, but I think the story by Jack Whitman, and then of course the story convinced by Kevin McCarthy, who is really annoying and holds who famously holds the rights to Spectre until 2015, of course, with the movie Spectre. Developed this very massive, grand plot, but it really drags because, after the villains get the plot, going with the two native bombs, the story kind of falters a little bit, which I was kind of surprised with. Um, I think the big problem for me, it's a 2 hour, magnus opus, but it's just like nothing goes on. You have Bond investigating where the bonds are, and like he knows who the villains are. So I think that is something that's detriment to the film. It's like it's 2 hours long. I think there's a lot they could cut out from the story and make it more tight and like more excitement. I think the underwater sequences is really spectacular after 60 years, but they are a little too long, and I think the editor needed to like cut down a little bit of these scenes because it's something else besides seeing turtles and sea creatures and then how beautiful it is. But yeah, I think one thing I will give it is the special effects is so good. I think it makes sense why it got nominated for this special effects. I think it won for one, I think, if I'm mistaken. But yeah, I think this film does everything right in terms of spectacle. The performances are still top notch. I think this is Carney's best performance. Not as good as GoldenEye, but it's the last where he kind of care about the character. After yes, he kind of just does a very autopilot performance in his two last like Eon performances. You only live twice, and Diamonds Are Forever, but he does come back in a good performance and. The unofficial one, never say it again. But yeah, I think the villains were good here. I mean, Spectre to, Emilio Largo is a good villain, not the top tier, but he's very iconic with his card playing, eye patching wearing, physique is, got parodied by, Austin Powers. So like he's a really iconic villain for the ages, but I don't think I think the writers didn't give another villain to do. It just kind of is there. The Bond girl, Domino, very beautiful. The actress that plays her is really good. But again, the dubbing is like very annoying. I don't know why they dub sometimes some of the Bond girls, but I don't think they should have dubbed the first one in Doctor No and Domino. But I think overall, I think Thunderbolt is a very spectacular fourth entry. It is pretty quite a bit. I mean, it's a very iconic one, with the sea and number two, as I mentioned before, Austin Powers, parody this film quite a bit, particularly with number two, Largo. But overall, it doesn't live the heights as the three previous entries, Doctor No, Preferential Love, or Goldfinger, in terms of story or tightness. But what it does make up is the spectacle and how you say action scenes they have here. This is the biggest Bond after those three, but it doesn't have the heart or the kind of like tightness of the story that the previous two Bond films, Commercial Love and Goldfinger, had that really made those spectacular top tier Bond films. The rating for this, I think I remember I gave it like a 7 out of 10. I'll give this. So thank you everyone for listening to my Thunderbolt 60th anniversary review. Please check out more of the content. So next is a review to Kill. So let's go to that. Happy 40th anniversary View to Kill. Of course, directed by John Glenn. Of course, written by Michael G. Wilson, Richard Benbon. Of course, stars Roger Moore, Christopher Walken, Mayday Grace, right? Or Grace something. Oh my God. Kelly Grace, or please correct me, who was that woman? Kelly Grace, or and of course next is Tanker Roberts. Okay, View to Kill. I recently saw this for the first time. View to Kill. I seen bits of it in the internet. View to Kill. This is the last entry, the I think 17th Bond film, or no, this is the 16th Bond film, in the Eon Productions, and this is the last for Roger Moore to star in this film. And I just like to report that it's not a bad film. It's not the best of the Roger Moore films, but it's not the worst. I think it's a very average Bond film that has really spectacular effects and stunt work by the usual crew. I think John Glenn does a good job of directing this, but the story is where it really fails for this film. This movie has two plots that just doesn't match. I think there's one plot that I think they like got more attention with than the other. First, though, you got this plot about the horse thing that they're like kind of drugging it. That's very interesting. Something that's is relatable, but the major like crunches of the plot that it's what they were kind of like structuring with was the Signal Valley, the computer chip, um, the technology that was going on during the 80s. Let me just give the synopsis here. James Bond has a retrieves a microchip after a dead Neo agent recovers it from previous mission and goes and investigates it and discovers a serious plan, a sinister conspiracy plot against Silicon Valley by a big evil business tycoon, of course played by Christopher Walken as Max Soren. Now, as you hear that, it's very interesting. He's covering this and then, the Mac trip and all that. That's interesting. But the film is divided by two plots. When you get the horse thing, I think that's the best part of the film because you got Bond investigating as a spy. He's teamed up with another agent that's played by the Avengers actor, which is cool. The British TV show, not the, the Avengers comic book, but the British TV show from there. He plays alongside Roger Moore, and those two are so spectacular. That's the best part about View 2 is that first half of them investigating the Soren and the horse race. That was like really intriguing. But then when they move into more of the Seneca Valley part, where we discovered that Max Soren is trying to flood, this was very surprising. Not only I did a live stream review of this, and it was funny. Me and my the guest hosts, panelists, Matt and Tim from the Middleman Age Reviews. He brought up that not only this felt like a Batman 60 episode, but funny enough, the plot also got borrowed by Superman, the 78th film. And it's true because the villain plot is like he's using the California Falls and like he's gonna flood the whole Silicon Valley and so that he can, take it over and like, expand his empire of microchips. Okay, very interesting. But I was kind of surprised we went there and I find it, okay, but we just don't spend enough time with it. And what really dampers it is sometimes when you got Bond girl, which I get into in The World Is Enough later on, you get, Teddy Roberts' character, who is a very weak Bond girl. I mean, she's lovely, very, sadly passed away. She's a fantastic actress. I mean, she's great in That 70s Show as, Donna's mom. But her as a Bond girl just didn't work. I think there was some potential for her character, but she just is a very dense on stress, but like she constantly screams James all the time. That's the big meme from this movie is that James, James, James. And I don't think that's pleasant enough. Um, to, for a Bond girl to be like that. So that's the big problem for this film is the whole Senegal Valley is underdeveloped and the Bond girl is just not as strong as the previous ones we got in the Bond series in general. But the villains are much step up from Octopus, I had to say. I think getting Christopher Walken as Max Zorin is a big get and is a big pleasant surprise. I'd say that he is the best part about View 2 Kill. I think the best thing about Roger Moore's last entry is that his villain that he faced is much better and like it's played by a very iconic actor that's Christopher Walken. He does a really good job. He's very menacing, very funny in a dark comedic way, which is great. And him with Mayday, the character played by Grace, um, is fantastic, and they have chemistry. And he has good chemistry with Roger Moore. I think that part was the most successful thing. Um, really wish Roger Moore. Roger Moore is tough form, but you could definitely tell they were hiding his age this time, which is kind of annoying. I think the mistake of this film did was not embracing his old age like his last two previous films. For Your Eyes Only and Octopussy. And I think they tried too hard to like, keep up the the Bond, how you say it, the persona and like him with the ladies, which is kind of like why. I think that was a big mistake. But overall, it's a mixed bag as a finale for Roger Moore's last outing. It's not the worst. I think it's definitely average outing of the Bond film because it's just like another routine for the Eon producers to make another Bond film, which is a shame because they should have known that this is Roger Moore's last outing as Bond, and I think they should have done better job of delivering a better product for him. And how to rate this? I'll give it like a 5 out of 10. It's a decent film, but it's not as strong as some of Roger Moore's outing or any of the strong tier ones from the Bond series in general. But it's not as bad as like Die Another Day or Diamonds Are Forever. I will watch this over those two films, and I gladly would say Bond, Roger Moore is still Bond, and he's still great in the role in this New Yorker film. So thank everyone for enjoying the View to Kill 40th anniversary. So now let's go into GoldenEye. It's 30th anniversary. Wow. The 1995 Golden film, directed by Martin Campbell, written by Michael Friends, starring Pierce Brosnan, Sean Bean, and Famke Jensen, and damn Judi Dench. Wow. GoldenEye, one of the best top tier films of Bond ever. As you know, Bond is investigating a you know a stolen military satellite weapon from the Russians and joining up with a computer analysis to recover the Golden Eye technology by a rogue agent that's from Bond's past. Wow, fantastic movie. Golden Eye is one of the best Bond films ever. One of Brosnan's films top performance, best film still. Very ashamed that his tender just didn't live up the quality at the Golden Eye, which is a shame. I think World's Not came close to it, but it just didn't deliver that, which is a shame. But yeah, GoldenEye is fantastic. The last one to produced by uh how is it, what's his name? Robert Broccoli, after his daughter-in-law, or son-in-law Michael G. Wilson and Barbara Broccoli will take over his producing duties after this film, starting with Tomorrow Never Dies and up to No Time to Die. His last producing leads a big band, which is great. GoldenEye is a top tier Bond film with Mark Campbell, who's still one of the best Bond directors. I think this and Casino will suitably let him as one of the best directors because he really knows how to update Bond, putting the action in the story. The action is top notch, very creative. Nothing you've seen before in a Bond film. It's very fresh. He gives the actors performances that we haven't seen before. He like balances the comedy very well, and but the drama spectacularly, which is amazing. The writing in this is really good. Now, as we know, previously the story was for Dalton's third film, and you can definitely tell that it definitely feels a post-Cold War film, which is great. I like that because Bond is a spy, and so I like that the out of the Bond films we dealt with the Cold War and post the wall. So I think this film did have a really good relevant story that still resonates today. Pierce is amazing as always. His performance here is top notch. He has a really great cast here. This film, I mean, Shin Bin as Alec Trevelyan as the Bond. The main villain for this is spectacular. One of the top tier Bond villains. Uh, he's spectacular. Love him. He's a great actor. From Patriot Games, the first Lord of the Rings film, and of course Game of Thrones season one. He's top-notch actor. Famke Janssen as Onatopp. Senate Onatopp is one of the best Bond hench girls. Uh, oh my God, so iconic, so beautiful, but very menacing and so out there. It's great. The Bond girl, Natalie, I forgot the actress name, but she's great as a Bond girl. One of still Brosnan's best Bond girls ever, and I think still top tier Bond girl. One day I will do a Bond girl tier list, and she'll be definitely up there. Uh, this is the first time we get Damn Dewey Jent's first appearance as M, and I was kind of surprised when I saw this film again that she's little in the film, but she does like ready, when we go see her in the later songs like, World's Not Enough and Skyfall, you can see why she is the best Bond, but best M in this role. She just delivers the presence and the gravitas that M needs, and she's not afraid, to criticize and go against Bond as an agent. So that was really good. But yeah, very surprised she says little here. The usual cast is great. I mean, Q is great. I love Devin Desmond Wellen is here. It's great he continues as Q up to Worlds Enough. I'll mention him in Worlds Enough review. But yeah, the cast here is spectacular. One nitpick I have to say about this film, that it's been kind of universal is the music. The composer that did Luc Besson's films like The Fifth Element, and Professionals, Leon the Professional, is really weak. You can tell they were not confident with the score before David Ono became the main composer when he joins and Tomorrow Never Dies. It's kind of noticeable. The music is okay. There's some parts of the score I like. I think the opening credits is really good. I mean, the game does it well. Uh, but the rest is kind of mixed bag, especially the tank sequence, which is so iconic. But the music is it's almost like a pace to score from a previous film. So that's the one like really nitpick of it. But overall, it's a solid Bond film, spectacular. I think I get this. I'll give this I think from the live stream review, I think I gave this a 9 out of 10, if I remember correctly. But I'll give it a 9.5 out of 10. I still a strong top tier film. I love it. It's one of Brosnan's best film and still is. Shame that the follow sequels of his tender just didn't live up to this film, which is a shame. So happy 30th anniversary, GoldenEye. So now, thank you everyone for joining the GoldenEye 30th anniversary review. So now let's get into the last two uh, Bond films. And the last anniversary one, I just want to get out of here is Spectre. I was kind of shocked. I totally forgot that Spectre has its 10th anniversary this year. So I got to do this review and say like, yeah, 10th anniversary review of Spectre. Yeah, so Spectre is a 2015 spy thriller film directed by Sam Mendes, of course, back in after Skyfall, written by John Logan, The Deal, Purvis, and Robert Wade, and Jess Butterworth, from the story convinced by Logan, Purvis, and Wade. And of course, as a sequel to Skyfall, the 2012 film. It is the 24th installment in the James Bond film series produced by the EM Productions, and the fourth to star Daniel Craig as the MI6 agent James Bond. Of course, the cast is starts with Christopher Waltz, Leah Sedux, Matt Ben Wishaw, Nomovi Naomi Harris, Dave Bautista, Monica Bellucci, and Ray Fiennes are among the cast for this latest installment. Now, in the film, a cryptid message from the past leads James Bond to Mexico City and Rome, where he meets the beautiful widow of a infamous criminal. But after infiltrating a secret meeting, 007 uncovers a assistant of a sinister organization inspector. Need the help of a daughter of an old nemesis. He embarks on a mission to find her as Bond adventures towards the heart of Spectre. He discovers a chilling connection between himself and the enemy of Spectre, a international criminal organization linked by Arnston Starfel Blofeld, which is played by Waltz, which was not a big twist or surprise. Look, even a great character actors could not save this movie. I have to say, the real problem lies in the poor scripting and I think producing way. I think first of all, there's nothing in this film that couldn't be guessed within the first 10 minutes. The plot and so-called twists are rather bluntly thrown in your face within minutes, but also the twists were just kind of obvious, especially Blofeld was just not good. Also, maybe not good with such an obvious and typecast villain actors to like if there was supposed to be twists, I mean, it was kind of obvious that Waltz was Blofeld. And despite this, it's honestly difficult to comprehend what the heck is happening within the first hour or so. Bond seemed to randomly go to meet some people, and it took me like a half hour or like half a scene to orient myself why he was doing what he was doing, just to keep waiting for the real plot to begin. The movie just feels like very lazy. There are just good ideas somewhere there, but due to the lack of I say subtlety and interpretation, it just feels flat. It's also obvious that there will be a sequel to the Spectre thing, which it kind of does in No Time to Die, but it's crisply like taken out during that film. Honestly, I don't know how they could kick like any ideas around with this film, so they tried their best. It was always going to be difficult for like Sam Mendes, director from the previous movie Skyfall, to how you say supersede the expertise sent from the widely successful Skyfall. The narrative had taken a complicated turn with deceit and bloodshed and intertwined with tragedy and malaise. Mendes has teased us with a captive scene set in a whirly tunnel where is a clock man compared to Bond. Uh, well, I say Mendes had teased us with a captain scene set in a wintry turn where a Mr. White comes back and he compared Bond to a kite dancing in a hurricane, which was a a dynamic but futilely uh beguiled. Despite a longing for Spectre to capture this sense for the tally of its narration, it fails to meet expectations. It's pretty weak film, I have to say. There is something, I say, intentional worry about Spectre as a whole. The enormous aura and inherently exhaling from Bond is overdone and forced and inject into a plot that is to a saturate taken assumptions. His unflinching execution of his license to kill has softened, leaving Bond to feel like less like a 007 this time around, more like the impossible Haze, the IMF agent Ethan Hahn, played by Tom Cruise in the Mission Impossible series, who breaches and similar during this year, aka the Rogue Nation movie from 2015. Very annoyed I couldn't do anything special with that. But do not make I mean, do not mistake these criticisms of Spectre as a conclusion for this being substandard. The hand-to-hand sequence with Bond and Batista are marvelous, intense, and brutal. So that's good, especially those against Dave Batista. Dave Batista is a great Bond villain here as the henchman, Mr. Flink. I think he does a really good job during this film. Wish he had more to do. The narrative plots across Mexico, Rome, Austria, and Marco does, without satisfying the story too much, it ends up feeling drawn out. But if it's good locations for a Bond film. Daniel Grant has been James Bond for the close 10 years now, and nearly unbelievable fact that until you can go back and realize his film was consumed with L, released in 2006, the opening with a strong action scene during the Day of Dead festivities in Mexico City is really great. Love it, but a little under the nose in terms of themes. Spectre starts promising intensely set in exotic locations, and I said it having great production values, but Spectre settles in the audience wanderlust and craving. Something happens once, we get the Sam Smith song Rains on the Roll, and it's really obvious they're really hitting it on with the themes and tone. The dark, gritty James Bond we've grown to be enamored with takes several steps back towards the tyrannus of the Brosnan films, 90s films, which is not good. But I gotta say, to include this review of Spectre is vastly superior to the Bronson films. Like Die Another Day and Tomorrow Never Dies, but is in comparison to the peers that fails to measure up and more akin to them than the Craig films that we got like Casino and Skyfall. I like this more than Quantum of Solace. Quantum of Solace is the worst Craig film slash Bond film. I will definitely watch this over that. But it's a really disappointing follow-up to Skyfall, I have to say. And for my rating, this is very low. I'll give this a 4 out of 10. Happy, dishonorable 10th anniversary Spectre, I guess. Um, yeah, that's all I have to say. Spectre 2015 film. Yeah. All right. So last thing, last review for the Bond Mania Retrospective slash review. Of course, this is The World Is Not Enough, the 1999 film, action spy film, whatever. The 19 in the James Bond uh series produced by the Eon Productions, third to star James Bronson as the MI6 agent James Bond. It is directed by Michael Ept for the rich story and screenplay, first by Neil Purvis and Robert Reid, and plot and by Bruce Furnace. It was produced by Michael G. Wilson and Barbara Broccoli. The plot follows around a murder of a billionaire business Sir Robert King by a terrorist named Render. Bond's subsequent assignment to protect King's daughter Electra, who has previously held ransom by the main villain. During his assignment, Bond unveils a scheme to increase the prices by triggering increase the plutonium prices by triggering a nuclear meltdown in the waters of this country that I cannot say. Anyway, in terms of character development and possibility or relentlessness, always tears in the Bond films, but still, the acting in the script is top notch in this film. I think this is a better improvement over Tomorrow Never Dies. I don't feel it's a hollow experience like that because they do a good job at giving Bond more character development, particularly with Keen, how the twist where she was the villain and how she used Bond. All of that really works, and of course it's far and away without shadow of the doubt superior to Die Another Day, Brosnan's fourth and final film. Above all, this is a Bond film that does successfully treat its audience smartly. They treat them like they have brain cells, and rather than a ghostly exercise in sci-fi pretentious with MTV production values like Die Another Day. Uh, but man, the opening sequence itself, the opening sequence of World on Is Not is one of the best in the series. Todd, exciting, finally directed, perfectly executed by the second unit direct crew. There is nothing else in the film that can really top it, but it's by casting helps immensely. I mean, by Sophie Machara is superb. It's great to see Robbie Conlon, reprising his role from the Golden Eye. That's great. Who bags many best lines in Golden Eye. And this Judy Dench as Sam is giving a high profile in this new entry, which is all good, as she's clearly the best thing that happened to the Bond films in the Bronson era. Then you got, of course, sadly, Desmond Llewellyn's final appearance as Q. He gives all his best in his final sequence. One of the best actors. So sad when I discovered he died in a car accident. During 1999 or something like that. Really awful, but his exit is well handled and touching. Even as on, I can say, in a sad note, but I think his out was spectacular. But the downside is that I don't think Robert Carroll, the actor that plays the main villain, Render, is not quite convincing. But I think when he's paired with Sophie, the Electric King character is really good. I just think it's kind of silly that he has a bullet to his hand and slowing dying and gives him some strength. I don't know about that, but still, we're still in that ill realm of Bond. But the worst thing about this film, a lot of people have very divisive opinion, is Denise Richards. Look, isn't as bad as she's been made out to be, but indeed she's actually seen smarter and less bland than Halle Berry's in Die Another Day. But her role as the chemist scientist, Christmas Jones, very unconvincing. I don't know why the MGM. I get they were trying to get a high-profile actress during this time, but out of all of them, did you think the next Richards could have convincingly be this chemist scientist? I don't think so. The best thing about this film, and one that I think really honestly, I think the best villain besides Alan Turing that really does. I think this is why I put Worlds on enough as second best Bronson film is the villain, Electric Queen. Sophie Marshalla's Electric Queen is spectacular. The first principal villain, who is young, female, and beautiful, is really standout. Moreover, for much of the film, we do not perceive her as a villain at all, but she is the daughter of a prominent oil tycoon who inherits his business after he is murdered at the beginning of the film. We are initially led to believe that the main screen of the play will be Bond's attempts to protect her against, you know, Robert Cavell, Robert Callow's villain, Renarin, but the ruthless and natural terrorist who was responsible for her father's death, who is threatening to blow up her pipeline, which connects to the oil fields to the west. Only later to do realize that Elektra and the main villain are actually in league with one another, and that she has even have more attention plotted by, which is crazy. Giving Elektra effectively combines the roles that most Bond films could play by two different actors. It's unfortunate that the lovely Mercer copes so well with the burden placed upon her, making her a character both detestable and desirable, which is crazy. And I think she does it very well. Definitely a top tier Bond villain. I put her in my top 10 ranking of the Bond villains, and do not I do not correct that because she's really great. Uh, yeah, plot and action sequences throughout the film are definitely handled well. But one thing you do know is that I think what makes this film great is that Michael Apted uh, directs really well with the dramatic scenes, but with the action scenes, you can tell it's directed by different people. That's one thing is very noticeable. This film is like you can tell it's one directed by a dramatic director, and then you can tell it's second unit direction. Unit, which is not a bad thing, but it's very noticeable. I don't know why. Um, but besides the opening sequence, I think some of the action scenes are good. I want to highlight, like, I think the sky sequence in the film is really good. It's like a fusion together, set piece from You Only Live Twice on her Metro surface that I think is another top tier. There are some moments that are alarmingly serious, more than redundant of the 70s and 80s Bond, such as the scene with John Cleese, who makes his debut as R, soon to be replacing Q. All the scenes with the Goldie, as uh, all the scenes with, uh, oh yeah, yeah, uh, you know, the as one of the henchmen, it's okay. But anyway, all those who weren't fans of Print Brother, there's plenty to annoy the, how you say, it's excessive jaw clenching, lots of posing, inherent charminess. I'm sure he's lovely in real life, in mine as Prince Present. But in general, I think this is a good film. Just wrapping up, I think is one of the best Bond Brosnan films. I think Kurt Brosnan is as sure capable as ever in the main role. There's some good supporting performances from Judy Dench as Boz M, Robert uh, Content as the dodgy Russian businessman. Sarkis is great. He who was from Goldeneye. It was great. He returned. The mark of the last appearance of Desmond Llewellyn as the eccentric scientist Q is spectacular, very sad. But you got some of the downsides, like, R, played by John Cleese, who's fantastic, but I don't know. His role as R/Q is okay. Dennis Richards is okay, but not the best Bond girl. But apart from that, this is one of the better Bond films in Brosnan's tenure. It has a lot of excellent action sequences, and humor and glamour is really good here, and probably Brosnan's best uh, together after GoldenEye. So to get this film, I think a 7 out of 10 is appropriate for this film. So yeah, that's it. I'm done. Happy 2025. And well, Goodbye, 2025, and happy 2026. That's all, folks. This is the Bond Me Retrospective Slash Review. I hope you enjoyed. I'll be back for more Retrospective Slash Review. I hope you enjoyed this reviews of the Bond films I just did. I'll be back for more, and thank you guys. Thank you so much for supporting my channel. I've grown so much this year, especially with all the new content I did and the streams and the shorts recently. I will continue more and improve my content. Please leave a comment below what you want to see this year, and see what I can do to improve. Thank you guys. Have a good 2025 last night and have a good 2026. Uh, Ciao and have a good night. Ciao.